Hello everyone. I'm Akriti Dave from New LG Institute of Engineering and Technology. We will be discussing about the Unit 1 of Indian Constitution, and it's all about meaning of constitutional law as well as constitutionalism. In the last session, we have talked about the evaluation scheme of Indian Constitution subject and how the GTU question paper is there. In this session, we will be discussing about the fundamentals of this. So let us see about them. So basically, when we talk about the meaning of constitutional law and constitutionalism, first word in that is about constitution. So constitution is a set of rules which prescribe the structure as well as the functions of a government, and that is also within a specified territory. So three important terminologies are there. First one is that the structure as well as the functions of a government, and they are defined in a specified territory. So if we say that Indian constitution, so we are talking about the specified territory of India only. When we say about other countries, so at that time it will be related to that specified territory. So that is how the constitution is defined: set of rules for the structure and function of a government. So why they are used? What is the necessary requirement that we have to utilize the constitution? So basically you can see here, constitution is used for creating the format of specification which is termed as power exercise. So how different hierarchy of the power will be there for the horizontal as well as the vertical level, that will be defined as a format of specification for each country. That is how constitution is very much important. So it definitely allocates the power. So for the allocation of power at different level, it can be for the government also, for rule also, for law and order also, and very much different things. So that is how different portfolios, powers, and how the Indian citizens will be treated. Everything comes under this. Third thing is about imposing constraints on the government for establishing the powers. Because definitely, if one is given the authority, it must be with the responsibility. So that is how, if establishing of powers is given, definitely some of the constraint must be there on the government. So that is how it is very much important. Fourth one is about the provision of legitimacy to the government, because whatever rules will be formed by the government, if they are not supported by the backbone of legal remedy, then definitely they would be of no use. No one would follow that. So that comes for the legitimacy of this government rule. And fifth one is about anticipation of the events, which makes the provisions for the protocols in events. So that also comes under the constitution portion, that how different things will be organized as well as handled. Every matter has their own different hierarchy to be followed to go through all the processes. So that is how anticipation is mentioned here, and that is the utilization of the constitution. Next thing is about the meaning of the constitution. So basically, we can just view that in-depth matter also, or also we can just go through an abstract view also. So two meanings are defined here. One is about the narrow meaning of the constitution. Second one is about the wider meaning of the constitution. So first one is about the narrow meaning of the constitution. So it's a document which is having a special legal status, which is very important terminology over here. It's having a legal status. So whatever is that, it is actually legally formed. It sets out the framework and also the principal functions of the organs of a government. So whatever the government bodies are there, how their framework would be, as well as what are their functions, everything would be mentioned in the constitution. They are mentioned for the state, as well as it declares the principles for them. So how things are going and what are the processes for them, everything will be defined in this. That is how we can just view this narrow meaning of the constitution. Second one is about the wider meaning of the constitution. So here the whole system of a government of a country, as well as the collection of rules which establishes and regulates or governs the government, everything is there for the constitution. So you can see in a summarized matter, we can say that it's a collection of rules which is establishing, regulating, or governing the government. So how government is formed, which work they have to do, as well as whatever work they are doing, it is also having some of the constraints, because then only it will work better. Everything will be coming under this constitution. So that is how the wider meaning as well as the narrow meaning of the constitution is defined. Next one is about how we can define that in most summarized way. So we can see here, it's basically a norm for the state. Second thing we can say, it's a system of integration and organization of norms as well as laws. So which are the rules that have been imposed for the constitution must be supported by legal remedies. So that is how they are having norms and laws integration. Third thing is about the organization of the government, because that is very much important for every country. If it is not managed well, then definitely the country will not work well. So that is how the meaning of constitutional law and constitutionalism is having the basic fundamental of constitution. So next thing is this meaning of constitutional law, which are having the fine line between the constitutionalism. So we will see in depth what these two terminologies are saying. So first thing is about the constitutional law. When we say constitutional law, it actually concerns the relationship between individual and the state. That we can see from a particular view front, which is named as notion of law. So that is how you can just define it between one individual and the state. Second thing is about the constitutional law is that it can be also defined as the rules of constitutional law, which governs the political relations within a given society, also reflects a particular distribution of political power. So that is also one kind of definition of constitutional law. So basically, in a stable society, constitutional law expresses what may be a very high degree of consensus about the organs as well as the procedures by which the political decisions are taken. So that is also very much important here. Also, we can see that within a stable democracy, constitutional law actually reflects the value that people attach to orderly human relations, that is to individual freedom under the law, as well as to the institutions such as parliament, political parties, free elections, and a free press. So that is how the constitutional law is defined well. Next thing is that here it's actually for the stable democracy, because it is reflecting the values and how the government should work, how the government must work, and what are the rules and impositions that a citizen must follow. Everything will be there in this constitutional law. So that is how it is defined. Next thing is about the constitutionalism. So when we talk about the constitutionalism, fine line is there between this. Both the terminology is actually imposing the same meaning, but constitutionalism form the core of good government. So in the modern democratic world, it can check on the powers of different organs of the government so that the protection of liberty can be there for fundamental rights of individual within the sovereign territory. Because government, if it's having allocation of powers, then it must be having some of the constraint upon them also. So that is how the constitutionalism is mentioned. All the efforts are made by the developed as well as the developing countries in upholding the rule of law, which are actually guaranteed through the constitution to promote the democracy for a just and fair society. So that is how the constitutionalism is defined. Also, constitutionalism is a system of governance in which the power of government is limited by laws, checks, and balances in order to reconcile the authorities. So we can say whenever we are talking about the reconciliation of the authority, here they are talking about the reconcile authority with individual as well as the collective freedom. So if the power is given to the government, definitely it is limited by the laws, checks, as well as the balances also. That is how mentioned in the constitutionalism. So it is based upon the principle outlined in the constitution, or we can say in the core legal document. So here, principle of constitutionalism must be understood in opposition to non-constitutionalism. Non-constitutionalism in the sense a system in which the government uses its power in arbitrary fashion, which must not be there in any country. So that is how you can understand that constitutionalism is a principle and a system of governance that respects the rule of law as well as limits the power of the government. So that is how we can define the constitutionalism, which is strictly linked with the progress and spread of the democracy. So that's all about the constitutionalism here. So we can just summarize this unit that we have understood what is constitution in the narrow as well as wider meaning. Second thing we have understood is about applications of the constitution. Third thing is meaning of this constitutionalism as well as the constitutional law. So that is all about the unit 1. In the next session, we will be discussing about the unit 2 of your GTU syllabus of Indian Constitution. So thank you so much and see you in the next session.